morning, Tuvalu, and welcome back to Star Trek, the original series, Season 2, Episode 9, Metamorphosis, an episode that spent the past 58 years dealing with concepts of gender and identity, yet is somehow no closer to understanding the thumbnail. Well, if you don't know what we're doing, today we are essentially going to be recording an audio commentary track live. So as I get things set up here, for legal reasons, of course, I can't just stream an episode of Star Trek. So it is going to be bring your own audio video. I have the time bar, and I will be playing a blurred version of the episode in the background once we get going. Gonna do a little bit of rambling for people to get set up first, but additional facts to know is that we are watching the remastered versions, or rather I am. If you want to watch the original, it shouldn't matter. It should be the same time. We'll stay synced up. But if you see a special effect, I will probably be seeing a different one. And given that one of the main characters of this episode is a special effect, that one might come up. Metamorphosis. So last week, right, I was not kind to this episode. I'm watching my 3D print in another monitor. It's probably fine. There's a weird flappy bit in one of the supports. I shouldn't affect things. I was harsh to this episode. I think I might have even called it one of, if not the worst ones in the series, and that's still my memory. It's definitely going to be a tie for the bottom, I'm sure. This is an episode that I remember as being totally regressive in literally every way. It's speciesist, it's sexist, it's transphobic, although in the kind of 1960s way that they're just, not aware of transness rather than like an intent. It totally disrespects one of the two female cast members in this episode, and the other female cast member spends the entire time totally smitten and dedicated to a man, so you're not going to get any brownie points for that one. Oh, it went over the bad part of the supports. I think it's fine. It's bad. And so, but, right, the interesting thing, between last week and this week, I looked up when this episode came out to do that 58-year joke at the beginning. And one of the top results for Star Trek Metamorphosis in Google was an old Reddit thread. I mean, not that old, only a few years, about this episode. And I was curious. I gave it a click. And it praised the episode is an unrecognized classic. It was someone who really loved this episode. And that what they really praise it for is being extremely progressive, right? And so I looked through the comments, and they said, it was essentially about interracial marriage. You could apply it to so many topics nowadays. Interracial marriage isn't really an issue anymore, so, but that's what it was about at the time, big issue. And my reaction to hearing that was that this episode would be against interracial marriage, given how it goes. But no, it's apparently for it. And there were like 5 comments. All of them agreed and praised the hell out of being this episode, the progressiveness of this episode. 2 people mentioned that they don't like how, like, the premise of the episode is kind of based on the fact that man and woman are universal constants. But they're like, I can get past that because it was the 60s. As I said, the transphobia comes from a place of being before transness was really in the conscious, I mean, that doesn't change the fact that the episode relies on the fact that male and female is a universal concept. But, yeah, so I'm confused with this one, because in my head, it's one of the worst and most aggressive episodes of the entire franchise. And the last time I watched this, when I would have come to that conclusion, was with my wife, because I remember not remembering anything when I watched this with my wife several years ago. And it'd be very weird for me to be so wrong about this episode and my wife to not have said anything. So yeah, I don't know. We're coming at this from a perspective of expecting hot bile. I was gonna say garbage, but that was too nice. But also, maybe it actually is good. And for some reason, I just didn't see that. So this is gonna be a very interesting viewing experience. Because even if it is hot bile, I'm gonna have to try and understand why I appear to be in a small minority. I mean, it makes sense that the fact that the episode is dependent on male and female being universal constants would be a bit of a deal breaker for me specifically, but we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be very interesting. I think I've rambled enough, though. So as I said before, I might not have said this before. I'm going to assume I did. As I said before, we are going to be doing a countdown. We're going to be going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And on go, everyone's going to hit play. As long as you don't pause, it should be synced up. I learned yesterday, apparently YouTube has been enabling mid-rolls, even though I don't insert ads in the live streams. That sucks. But I'm going to make sure to go in and manually disable those from now on. So if you're getting mid-rolls, it's because YouTube is ignoring what I say. But if you're live, you won't get any mid-rolls. We'll still synced up. And hopefully the printer doesn't break, because I can't pause it once we start. And also, YouTube is telling me it's not receiving enough data to maintain smooth streaming. It's totally fine on my end. 0% dropped frames. This happens sometimes. And I've been told that YouTube's just wrong by chat. But also, if you have problems, given that, like, the audio's the important thing, just lower your quality down to, like, 140p or whatever the lowest is. And that should hopefully be fine. Just if you have bad internet in general, I recommend, because getting out of sync is pretty bad. All right, countdown time. We're going to go on go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. The worst thing about that error, by the way, is I can't dismiss it, so I don't know if it's still an error or if it's like 20 minutes old. I literally sat here for 10 minutes, everything was going smooth. Just before going live, that popped up. Good old Galileo shuttle. I swear it gets destroyed at some point, but apparently not yet. There you are, this woman, right? I want to kind of focus on her, because this episode is going to say it's going to give her a happy ending. As I alluded to in the intro, I genuinely, like, it's horrific. No one treats her as a person, and it's awful. So she's sick. That's what we're going over now. That's the emergency. I'm going to let him explain it because I kind of want to remember. Yeah, that's really bad, actually. Now, to be fair, this sounds like, yeah, you know, whatever. This couldn't have reasonably been prevented. But she's sick, you know, with a rare disease, and because she got sick, there's literally a peace conference that can't happen. So, you know, let's just make the stakes clear here with this woman. She's also, like, highly educated, well-educated, scientific woman. I don't know if she has, like, a doctor or something. She's, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, a distinguished or known enough. Like, she's high profile enough to be negotiating a peace conference, and respected enough. I'll think of the word in like half an hour. Let's just remember that. I think in the original, the effect for this is more like a cell. But I do respect the remastered of TOS a lot for really sticking to the vibe and the aesthetics. There are a few times where they go a bit different, but like the creature in this episode is still just like a big blur of colors. You know, very 60s. And yeah, like here, this is pretty much just what the 60s would have done, but a little sharper. And usually I do prefer the original effects. Like for classic Doctor Who, I usually go for original. But I think my sort of scale is modern CGI. Bad modern CGI is better than bad, like, old CGI. Old practical effects are better than any CGI. And modern practical effects are better than all of that, but you're not going to get that in a remaster. No, I do love a good old practical effect. I just think TOS really doesn't do practical effects a lot. They'll do it in the ships, like the Enterprise. But when they did it, there were like obvious green screen clippings, and it really takes me out of it. So I think that's why I like the remastered TOS. It also helps that remastered is what I watched as a kid. I'm pretty sure. I love having the Screaming Lady back. That's what I always call her. That's what we call her now. I hope you're used to calling her the Screaming Lady. Does anyone know who does that? Because a little factoid just popped into my head that it was someone whose name I'd know. And there's a little part of me that wants to say it's Uhura, but I don't think it is. If anyone knows who does the Screaming Lady voice, let me know in the comments. Yes, I know it's singing, but I've been calling her the Screaming Lady for 20 years, and I'm not going to stop now. The Galileo and the Enterprise, that makes sense. I'm fascinated in Star Trek why some starships are like the Enterprise, but some starships like the Voyager just sound weird. I'd like a modern Star Trek to have Spock be like gravity similar to Vulcan, you know? Like, I mean, I don't think we've invented the Federation yet at this point in the series. Like, real world. It's not a concept, but... I mean, that's a little fair, because, like, this is an unknown environment that is potentially hostile, and she's a civilian. And she didn't really protest, like, I want to go out too hard, but she did go to a war zone. Like, you probably could have let her out. Best of Trek, worst of Trek. I don't know how to pronounce that. I think it's French. Louise Jean Norman is the Screaming Lady. Not a name I recognize, so God knows why that tidbit was in my head. I do like the back of the shuttle. Like, it's so plasticky and toy-like, but it kind of works here. Often, it doesn't really work. Like that engineering tube, you kind of know the one that's slanted in a hallway. That one looks a little too plasticky, but I think it works there. I'm also appreciating that we really seem to have got that trio of Bones, Spock, and Kirk now. Because Bones wasn't really in Season 1 all that much, but he's a big part of both of these episodes, and a next episode. In America, or at least, I don't know if this is like across the whole country. I've talked to some people who haven't had this. Usually, when we teach philosophy, like id, ego, and superego, every class I've ever seen has taught it through Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. Every single one. To be fair, my high school English teacher had a poster of the Enterprise D in the classroom, but none of the others did. Yeah. No, that makes sense. So that confused me, because I'm like, wait, does Zephram Cochrane know about the translator? Do we... Yes, Zephram Cochrane. Here we go. I mean, it is in character for him, but... Look, if we want to complain about sexism, I'll have plenty of opportunities. I like that. I love this episode with the context of Enterprise. It's like, because it's just been so long, he's forgotten what the Vulcans look like, you know, as they've been probably his biggest enemies, honestly. Like, he made first contact, but then they keep refusing to tell him how warp works. I agree. Take notes. Although I do love the Enterprise aesthetic, is in like NX Enterprise for what it is, being like. I always like to say if NASA was given Star Trek warp drives, they'd build the NX Enterprise, and that's exactly what it should be. That's my wife. Don't worry about it. It sounds like he's putting on an American accent, even though he's definitely American. What is that? Is that just an accent I'm not familiar with? It sounds a little bit like something I'd hear in Doctor Who. Yeah, I'd be annoyed too. I'm you in this episode. He is kind of chill for, like, having not seen another person in 150 years. I mean, I don't know how you would act that scene. And I think he might have been expecting them, actually. I don't remember. It's been so long. He's Zephram Cochrane. Oh, wait, that's actually what he noticed. He looks kind of like Zephram Cochrane, but not at all like how I remember him in any way, shape, or form. That's a... I like it. It's different. It's... I like it. I like it. I think. I don't know, actually. It's a statement, that's for sure. It is, again, though, just funny being like, this is not Enterprise era tech. I mean, to be fair, though, paint that brown. I could see it on the NX. He is so proud of his water system. He's talked about hot baths and cold drinks. To be fair, I'd be proud, too, if I lived here and, like, managed to get hot and cold water on tap. Why not just say that in front of the woman? Like, I'm sure she knows. His bones not explain the symptoms to her. There it is. Like, I don't actually know what this thing looks like in the original. I think I've Googled it, and it's basically that, but a little more opaque. But, like, I wouldn't have even known that was remastered if you didn't tell me. I've never noticed these weird buttons on Cochrane's outfit. What are these? That's my wife, Spock. Don't worry. I mean, you're here. There was a starbase out here, apparently. Is it really that odd? I mean, it's Zephram Cochrane. That is unusual. That's like finding George Washington at a gas station. God, I shouldn't have been talking about Doctor Who in this stream. I forgot it was called The Companion. Hey, he was an old man. Are we addressing that? Oh. Maybe they could sell that as a service. Oh my gosh, Bones is like terrified. I love the faces DeForest Kelly does. They're just so weird. So like 50 years apiece to figure that out. Took him 50 years to realize it exists, 50 years for the other thing, and 50 years that he could communicate. Yeah, let's forget about that. I knew a kid named Zephram in school who was super smart and was also a big Star Trek nerd. And I like to point out to him that he's about the right age to be Zephram Cochrane in like 2063. He's in about the right area too. You know, he just got to go west like a few, I was going to say few hundred, not even that far miles. 87. I'd love to figure out if the ages are consistent with first contact. That's a bit harsh. Out here? I guess, if he really wanted to go far away. So do you, Spock. Also, she is sitting down. I mean, he's a dog. It's a little hard to judge how Bones is to the patient, whose name I probably should have learned. Because, like, I don't know what this disease is. It's obviously serious. Maybe it's like, no, you really should lie down, or, like, you'll die in 5 hours. But, yeah, that's all I'm going to say, really. It would be interesting to see a remake of this episode with the knowledge of Enterprise, you know? Because you can have some really interesting dynamics with Cochrane and Spock being a Vulcan. Or even the fact that Spock is half human. Like that, they didn't think that was possible when Cochrane left Earth. Took 150 years, but by God, I would. Oh my gosh, I guess she literally is going to die if she doesn't leave. I am sure they bring it up as well, but I am wondering why the companion can't just cure the woman. Hang on, I gotta turn the printer camera back on. Whoop. Like, I don't think the episode treats this woman great just generally. Like, she's apparently composed and competent enough to lead these peace talks and, you know, be the kind of person I described, but really broke down there. And she's got a fictional illness, so, like, you can't really just say, oh, it's the illness. And even if you did, that would mean the writers wrote the illness to make her just, like, totally break. And, like, I get it is a serious situation. Like, she will literally die here if she doesn't leave. But, again, we've already learned the companion can, like, cure Zephram Cochrane and keep him alive for 150 years. So maybe bring that one up. Well, when you're the only one on the planet. Worked for Da Vinci, though. Do we have the Federation? 'Cause 'Federation? 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 'Cause ' Well, yes, I know. I've met them. It's the Picard era. Maybe wake up in like 75. That's real good. Wait, Kirk actually will. Never mind. Sorry. I want more aliens like this, just like the Rugrats backgrounds. You know, like, not necessarily this is act effect, but just a weird little blobby thing. I love it. Like, not all the time. Like, you know, TOS does it because it's the only thing they can do, really. But I'd love more just really out there aliens. But still staying true to that whole, like, progenitor reasoning why everyone's humanoid, you know? It probably just can't. Like, I don't know why the creature wouldn't. Oh, is it just jealous? Is there like a cat fight element to this story? Because as if it couldn't get regressive enough. I bet she's just jealous. The music is nice in this episode. I will give it that. I mean, so far, it's been 20 minutes of essentially nothing happening. It's a little too slow paced for me to just go, like, it's a nice slow paced episode. I think we might get that from this point on. But yeah, so far, this is not a hidden gem of Star Trek. I mean, so far, it's also not, like, the bottom of the bottom. But I think a lot of what they're doing to establish the atmosphere is good, like this music. And it doesn't feel like 20 minutes. I will say that. Is it? It is. I mean, I guess it's some sort of joining. I think they're going to conclude it's love, though. No. No. I mean, they're right, is the annoying thing, but it's literally they're just standing there. Like, by the same logic, a mind meld looks like love. It looks a little more intimate, but that's probably just because I'm corporeal, you know? Look, does that look like a man who's in love? How does it know that? I'm sorry, I guess it is a she. That is very well established. But, so it's not even gonna try. It's just like, oh no, I can't cure that. I mean, you don't know what it is, and I don't know what it is, but I can tell. That's actually worse than a cat fight. It looked like love. BDSM specifically. How quaint. Same. Bones is just so... I can kind of see why he... You are a scientist. Sorry. I can kind of see why Bones joined Starfleet, because every weird, like, anything vaguely not human, provided it's not Spock, just gives him so much joy or, like, some strong reaction. After 22 minutes, though, it is a little hard to commentate on without development. Come on. It is an interesting relationship, though, because the companion usually isn't there. You know what I mean? Like, the companion seems kind of distant from what we've seen in this episode. Like, does it ever come on its own volition? Because Cochrane mentions he sort of summons it, you know? I kind of talk to what they're doing. Are they gonna go kill it? Because that's the Federation way. Have they asked if they can leave yet? I don't think they've tried that. I don't think they've gone like, hey, this person's gonna die. Like, can we leave? Like, I'm sure they'll say no, but my point is you haven't tried. This is not a hidden gem. Like, there's no way you can go half the episode without getting to the interracial marriage message and being like, oh man, this one's great. Top 10. Like, that was that Reddit thread I read. They were surprised this wasn't in people's, like, top 10. Well, we killed Zephram Cochrane. Oh, it looks like love. They've gone all red. Man, there is something about that image that's just like... That's unsettling. Just this big, angry red blob coming towards you, gliding across the floor. Look at him! I love this face! I love it! Why have I never really clocked onto Bones' facial expressions before? I am starting to think, though, that, like, everything I don't like about this episode must be in the last 10 minutes or something. It must just be the resolution. Hey, she didn't attack the sick woman, though. I mean, she didn't attack Bones, even though he was also part of the plan, so... I guess she doesn't just want the sick woman dead. I like how Kirk has assumed responsibility for Cochrane. It's like, yeah, he's mine too. I don't know, maybe ask Kirk. Apparently, Bones, apparently. I'm sure it'll work much better now that you've attacked the creature. Like, what is it? It just puts Kirk in a really bad light, I guess. Maybe you're trying to teach violence isn't the answer? I guess if we're going to look at this as an interracial marriage allegory, maybe saying... Sorry, I love that comment. Immortality is boring, adjusting the translator will give you something to do. Maybe there's some sort of allegory between, like, racial violence and tension in the 60s that I'm just not picking up on here. But even then, like... We're saying that Kirk is just being like a racist 60s individual, in essence, and I don't think that's good. Oh, Assistant Chief Federation something or other. See, she is high ranking. But that sounds like a second in command for whatever her job is, Assistant Chief. All right, Sulu, not Sulu, Chekhov, do you still have a wig? Would there? I I I don't think there would be if you're towing it. I guess if they're saying, because he didn't say, oh, the ship that towed it would have residual matter. I'm assuming that the engines just make matter, you know, but I also find it hilarious they can't detect the like massive energy thing that attacked the shuttle. Oh, I mean, I like that he lists all the things they were detecting. That's always a nice touch. It helps make it not just like some random scan, magic scan. It's like, no, there's a bunch of stuff we could find. I mean, it'd be quite lucky if that energy thing kidnapped them, even though it was directly in front of them. Yeah, let's ignore this bit. I'm jumping ahead. I'd like to talk about this because the concept, what they're gonna get to is that the first off, I'm absolutely fine with like this explanation of how it works, but it gives the creature a female voice because male and female are universal constants across species, and the creature is female. The concept of the translator identifying gender identity and giving it a voice, I actually really like that. And I think you can do a lot of interesting things with that. Like, for example, is a trans individual who like hasn't biologically transitioned at all, would it translate them to have a different voice? Like a trans girl, would it give them a female voice? Would that be like intentional? Could you control that? Or like, could you discover you're trans because your translator voice is female? That'd be kind of funny. But also, what would it do for species that like don't have a gender identity or don't have a binary one or do have a gender binary that's totally separate from their concept of sex? So there wouldn't be a voice change. And I think you need the translator do this because like Rock Talk, you know, is like big, deep growls. But to us, she sounds like a little 8-year-old girl because she's a little 8-year-old girl. But obviously, the problem is the concept of male and female being a constant in the universe when that's not even true for humanity. And you could have known that in the 60s. Thinking about it as well, like, even if the creature was a man, it could still be love. Like, but I mean, this episode, I can get it just focusing on one thing. I'm going to refer to Zephram Cochrane as the man now forever. I mean, could you let some of them go? That sounds like something Kirk would do. Let some of them go, bring the cavalry. Kirk would be the one that stays, of course, and the doctor and the girl. How do you know that? BS, this guy's been around for 150 years. Spock. Come on. Just come back if you want to, you know? Poor man. I don't know. I've always been told to, like, stick it to the man, so maybe that's a good thing. Maybe you should take the sacrifice. I mean, there's actually a point. Maybe they will bring it up. I think they might. But why not just have the creature come with the man? Like, I don't see a problem with that one. All she wants is the man and for the man to continue. And, like, the problem with immortality is it's boring. No, that's the problem with immortality when you're stranded on a planet with no one else to talk to. Immortality in the wider universe seems to be... This guy would love it. Yeah, that's the problem. You're a sex doll. No. I don't think he can be a lover if it's one-sided. I'm just saying. Like, if this is an interracial marriage allegory, what are we supposed to get from the... you know, this creature? In fact, this is probably getting in the territory of reading too much into it, but you are using your interracial allegory as the white man and the creature. What do you mean? What are you complaining about? That thing violated my personal freedoms and choice in the worst way possible. Oh, what are you complaining about? It left you alive in 150 years of abhorred torment. Has it? What the hell are you talking about? He just said he'd rather die. He literally said, I would rather die than be in this situation. Like 10 minutes ago. Like, I see the allegory, you know? Essentially, love is love. And, like, yeah, I'm all for that, but what?
I heard yelling. What is happening?
It's the bat. You remember the one with Zephram Cochrane and, like, some random creature? And, it's the bat. You remember the one that says that male and female are universal constants? It's that episode.
And I think that's stupid.
Yeah, it's that episode.
Yeah, I just hear loudly.
Apparently, at least according to a Reddit thread I saw, a lot of people love this and they see it's a super progressive interracial marriage episode, and I'm not seeing that. And that's what I'm complaining about now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take your...
He literally said he'd rather die than be in this scenario, and they're like, for the past 150 years, this relationship has been emotionally satisfying and practical. It's like, what? He'd rather die! Oh, yeah, that was the reason. She's never been loved. That's what makes her fate okay. Sorry. You know what? It sounds like a life where you had a successful career doing what you loved, if I'm going to be honest. What is it? Chief Associate... Assistant Chief Federation Officer? Yeah, that's all it takes. You know, that's the that's the thing. As long as one person is in love, then you should fully commit to the relationship. That's the interracial marriage allegory. Well done. Clap, clap, clap. Like, I'm sure there's a way to do this story well. You could have just had Cochrane initially be kind of repulsed, but and like effect, like, cause yeah, it wasn't a consensual thing. You know, he'd essentially been in a relationship without realizing it, but then realized that actually he does have feelings for the creature. All this extra stuff would really be what's ruining it, you know? But even then, going from inhuman monster to like, oh yeah, I fully see and respect you as an individual in like 5 minutes is a little quick. I have to admit. We still got 4 years in this mission, Uhura. That's like one planet a day. Literally, we fuse. You've seen it. They're really doing a poor job explaining it. There you go. Like, can you do this, but not in metaphor, Kirk? Does she need his mind, though? Like, she seems satisfied. What is the allegory? Is it okay to let the woman die for your love? Like, I'm not actually sure what the allegory they're going for is beyond interracial marriage is good. Like, I see that, but there seems to be a lot of extra baggage attached to this message that's really bringing it down. That's unfair. I don't know why, there is just something a little funny about the man. Again, that's also unfair. Like, what if she's just not expressive? Are we saying this is in favor of interracial marriage? Okay, I'm gonna skip ahead. The resolution is that she's gonna merge with the sick woman, like at the moment of death, and now that she looks human, Cochrane is okay with the relationship. How is this a pro-interracial marriage message? She literally changes her race to match that of Cochrane, and then the relationship is okay. That is the resolution. If this is an interracial marriage allegory, it is against interracial marriage. I rest my case. And yeah, I'm going to wait till the moment to actually get into how much this is so disrespectful to, like, Chief Assistant Federation Ambassador, whatever her name is. No, I'm not. You establish, this woman who's expressed nothing but passion for her career. The sole thing she wants is to get back to that, like, planet and host a peace conference, right? She's the chief associate, like, whatever. She sounds like she's the second in command of this very important high-ranking Federation office. The fact they sent their second in command says that this peace meeting is very important. But this is a good ending for her. Let's also address the fact that, like, she just died, right? The creature went in, merged with the human, changed her race so that the marriage would be okay. That is literally the plot of this episode. She changed her race so this would be okay, right? The creature's about to tell us, oh, it's okay. We're both here. We merged. She consented. You can trust me. I've been trustworthy as the companion. She definitely consented, and you can take my word for that and go. No need to investigate this further. Beyond that, even if she did if she did consent, I mean, fair enough, she consented. That is ignoring the fact that she was only in this position and dying. Oh, thank you, Commissioner. And dying because of the companion, right? I've just realized they could leave this world too. But, like, they went, oh, she's never been loved, and obviously, as a woman, she wants that. So now she's happy. That whole career as associate producer. It's like, no, like, I'm fine with her, like, a character who's a woman, who's successful in her career, but also feels like there's absence without, the relationship. The problem is, like, how can she even have a relationship with Cochrane? Honestly, like, yeah, I guess this does seem better than literally dying, but it's a bad episode that, if it's about interracial marriage, hates the concept. Like, I'll give it credit that everyone but Cochrane seemed to be all for this relationship when the companion was an alien. But Cochrane is... Oh, and now I guess we're saying that the creature truly couldn't love. So is the allegory that, like, black people can't love? I don't know. I guess it is. she couldn't really love till she changed her race. Like, what is this? How is this a top 10? This is a bottom tier. This is regressive with like 2 lines that are good. I think you blew up the shuttlecraft, actually. Like, no, I think you could. Wait, also, like, the sickness would have been in the woman's body, right? It wouldn't have been psychological. That virus would still be in the woman, meaning that the creature could have cured the virus because, oh, look, you're not sick. Oh, yes, I think we can believe her that she consented to this when the creature tells us, you know? Like, Zephram maybe seemed to be attracted to the woman beforehand. Is it just like a lust for the body then? Like, it's serious. If you really like this episode and you really think it's a powerful interracial marriage, or just generally 2 different types of people coming together, right? I'd love if you could write out why in the comments. Because I genuinely don't see it. I only see it in the reactions between Kirk, Spock, and Bones, as I said, like initially. But Cochrane thought this was a total violation of his rights and that the creature was a disgusting monster. What do you say? Like some horrific creature. Something really horrible. And he only became okay with the relationship when the creature changed their race to be human. That is the resolution to the story. And also, once the creature did, they were then capable of love, because they weren't before. That's not... No. Bad episode. But hey, I think we hit the bottom. If you want the opposite perspective, wait till we get to Turnabout Intruder. Because that's one that a lot of people, like, just hate on for being super sexist, and I don't understand why. But, here we go. Now we're finally establishing that. I might have front-loaded that, you know, but... Oh, by the way, you gotta do that too. I hope there's, like, food on this planet. I haven't seen a farm, and the creature can give Cochrane energy, so... I mean, he has to drink, thinking about it, but... Oh, yeah, so you know that whole consent thing so she doesn't die? She died anyway. And, like, philosophically, I'm not even sure she is still alive, or the creature for that matter. Like, although I admit that that's a perspective, that's not a fact. And that's the moral, kids. If you truly love someone who doesn't love you back, ignore their rights and the rights of everyone else and change your race. The end. I don't know, next week we get like a pregnant woman hiking through a forest or a hill. That's nice. You know, that's a change of pace. Yes, honestly, it genuinely is. But you know what? He may not be rich, it may not be a beach, and there may just be one woman, but at least he fulfilled his dream of retiring surrounded by naked women. She's wearing clothes right now, but he was literally surrounded by a naked woman before when the creature was energy. So, you know, at least he got his happy ending. Oh, okay, at least they addressed that. Where are you gonna get a fig tree, though? Maybe leave Cochrane with a communicator? Now that she's the same race as me, and, you know, I do know that. Sucks to be that one planet, though, you know. They're still at war. Like, imagine being the woman we saw at the start of this episode who, like, yes, there was something missing in her life. She wanted love, but then totally abandoning. Yeah, you just shrug that one off, you know. There haven't been a lot of episodes where they want a specific diplomat, you know. There's the chief. There's the chief whatever she was, I guess. There's literally one other person in the entire Federation who is presumably more qualified than the person they got. But, you know. You know, someone once said, don't try and be a great man. Just be a man and let history do the judging. And there's been a lot of judgment. And I don't know what those people were talking about when they said that was a progressive episode. Like, there were elements. Actually, no, I take that. No, there were two elements. The fact that the the assistant chief Federation ambassador was a woman. You know what? It's the 60s. That was progressive. And Kirk, Spock, and Bones' reaction to figuring out the creature was in love with Cochrane. I mean, provided you ignore that they totally throw out the fact that Cochrane said he would literally rather die than go through that existence, or that he had genuine and valid complaints about violations of his right, that even if he was okay with it before, absolutely you could change that perspective when you realize that the person reading his mind was in love with him. And especially with the revelation, think of it, that apparently they weren't actually in love with him. They were apparently incapable of love because they were an alien. That was the assumption Kirk made. Because the creature was an alien, they couldn't understand love, even though when they looked at the creature embracing Cochrane, both him and Bones concluded it looked like love. So that, I guess, was wrong, because we know objectively now it wasn't love. It was... I don't know. This is a bad episode. It's bad. Bad. Next week is interesting, actually. On Friday, the Section 31 movie releases. Now, the plan, I don't know. I've reserved a slot for a Section 31 stream. It might not happen. If the movie, I've talked about this before, if it's really bad and I just don't want to discuss it, I'm not gonna. We'll do Friday's Child. We'll do TOS. It might be a watch-along. It might be a full review. I don't know what format it is, and I won't know until I watch it. It honestly just depends on what I want to do. I expect it'll probably be a watch-along, just because I've never reviewed a movie that's much longer. Some of the Doctor Who specials are kind of movies, but they're still structured differently. Yeah, I don't know. However, I also have something on that day, next Saturday, and I don't know exactly what time it is. And so that might prevent a stream. And in that case, I might just kick it to Section 31 back to February 1st. We'll figure that out. Otherwise, I've got nothing in my calendar for ages. But yeah, that I honestly, I feel confident in saying that may be the worst episode of TOS. I mean, there's like some boring ones. There's the one that's just depressing. Like the Federation, the Klingon go to a planet that's like utopia and they make them go to war. That's just depressing. But this one just is, it's regressive in like pretty much every way it's possible to be regressive. It's bad. And yeah, that's my message. So I'm going to say thank you all very much for watching.